We are back with the post-game show. The Seahawks took care of business 28-16. Again, not too surprising in this one as far as how the results ended up. I was actually really, really impressed with how the Seahawks came across and across the country is what I meant to say, sorry, and took care of business in Indianapolis. The play calling, as I said during halftime, the play calling was something that we haven't seen in a while in Seattle, especially with the UW. But this was really good. Going over some of the stats, Russell Wilson, 18 of 23, 254 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. Probably one of his best performances to start a season in a while. Rushing, Chris Carson was 9 yards short of 100 with 91 yards rushing. D. Eskridge, 22 yards, and I believe he went out with a concussion. At least he would, definitely looked like it on that the hit there late in the third quarter, I believe. Tyler Lockett had 100 yards receiving on the dot and 2 touchdowns. DK Metcalf with 60 yards receiving and a touchdown. And then Gerald Everett with 1 touchdown and 20 yards receiving. On the other side of the ball, Carson Wentz had a decent game. He was 25 of 38 for 251 and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Rushing the ball, Indianapolis only had 113 yards as a team, and then just receiving, just had a plenty of receivers, but the most was Taylor with 60 yards receiving, long of 15 yards. So it was, kind of a good game all around. Looking at the defensive side, there was a DJ Reed recovered a fumble, and Chris Carson fumbled the ball for the Seahawks. So those were the only turnover the Seahawks had and that they lost. On defensive side, Bobby Wagner had 13 tackles, 6 solo. Brooks had 11 and 7 solo. But we did have 5 tackles for loss as a team. So I'm going to quickly bring in some of the highlights of this one, just because I do want to show them from the game. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in. There we go. So this was early on. I'm going to get that squared away. There we go. And this was early in the game as Chris Carson had the 33-yard rush with that stiff arm that we mentioned. And the stiff arm right there just throws him down. At that point, it was still 0-3 Indianapolis. I just saw New England across the Twitter feed there. This one right here, Russell Wilson deep to Lockett over the shoulder, the moon catch. Just again, a crazy throw. Let's just take a look at that again. Throws it from about the 33-yard line. Just an absolute beautiful pass as Lockett gets it for that touchdown. And we're just going to keep going here over the middle to Gerald Everett on his touchdown of the game, which at that point would make it 14-3. And here's Wentz's only touchdown of the game. No, his first one of the game. I did not have his second one on this highlight reel. But at that point made it 14-10, where it kind of looked like, are the Colts going to come back and do something here before the half, which they didn't really. And this absolute crazy 69-yard pass from Wilson to Lockett right before the half made it 21-10 going into halftime. And then right here, you just have Disley just saying, sit down. Just sit down. I just want to throw that in. And then here's the last one. DK Metcalf with a post to the middle from Russell, which made it 28-10. But then again, the Colts would get another touchdown late in the game to make it the final of the 28-16. So all in all, it was a good game for the Seahawks. They came out looking strong. The only turnover was Carson just on that fumble, which coincidentally the Carson Wentz fumbled it later on their fourth down to give it right back. But it was a good, clean game. I mean, Russell Wilson only had 5 incompletions. He was sacked 4 times for 16-yard loss on that. So that's not too good. Looking at some of the deeper things here, the Seahawks had 18 first downs, the Colts had 23, but that's going to show with the time of possession because the Colts had 35 minutes of possession compared to the Seahawks only 24. But in the penalties, the Seahawks did have 7 penalties for 53 yards compared to 2 for 16 of the Colts, and then the one turnover for each team. But that's really it on this game. There's not a whole lot to talk about. I was, really, really pleased by what I saw out of the Seahawks this week. And then next week, the Seahawks will be at home taking on the Titans, I believe. I'm going to double check that right now, but I'm pretty sure that they play the Titans next week at home. And yes, they do play the Titans next week at home. And based on what the Titans were doing today, I'm not too concerned about that game anymore. I was a bit concerned just because the rushing attack that you have over there, but not so much right now. And looking across the league, the Vikings and Bengals are currently in overtime as there was a kick at the last second to get that to overtime. They're tied at 24 in Cincinnati. Surprisingly enough, the Lions with the ball are down only 8, and they are driving against the 49ers. Remember, the 49ers were up at one point 41-17 with 10 minutes to go. So they're storming back 41-33 late in the fourth. Also in the fourth quarter, late Carolina is up 19-14 against the Jets with 29 seconds left. The Panthers have the ball. Looks like they're just kneeing it out. Down in Houston, the Texans are up 37-14 over the Jaguars with 2:21 to go. A couple of finals came across. The Eagles dismantled the Falcons 32-6. So if you're watching this, Aaron Laws, there you go. Your Eagles took care of business. The Steelers beat the Bills 23-16. The Cardinals, again, as I was talking about, they took care of business over the Titans 38-13. Not too worried about the Titans at this point going into next week. And then the last final that we have is the Chargers taking care of business in Washington 20-16. In the late games that are just about to get underway, the game that I'll be watching is the Browns and the Chiefs. But then we have the Dolphins and Patriots. That's going to be another good one that I'm actually really curious about because Matt Jones and taking over for the Cam Newton. There we go. For the Patriots. And then we have the Packers and Saints followed with the Broncos and Giants. Tonight, we do have the Bears at the Rams. So we do have some good matchups coming up this afternoon and this evening. And then tomorrow night, we got the Ravens and the Raiders. So that's going to do it for this post-game show. Appreciate you sticking around for the past 10 minutes or so on this. Again, this is the Teacher Dudes halftime show. Find me on Twitter at Keef67. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that fun jazz on Facebook and Twitter. For these, we are going to be doing this throughout the season. And our next one's going to be coming up on Saturday for the Huskies and Arkansas State. And I just pray to all that is right and holy that we can get some offense going for that game. But anyway, thanks for joining us, and we will see you on the next stream, which will be next stream for this next Saturday, but the next live stream will probably be next Thursday night for Zane's NFL picks, and then hopefully our regular Teacher Dude podcast on Friday night. But again, we'll see you later. Thanks.